Okay, selamat datang hari ini. Nama saya Ramesh. That's all. After that, I cannot.
I think you can speak bahasa.
Saya dari Singapura. Di sekolah ada belajar bahasa Melayu.
Okay.
So, tapi tidak ada peluang untuk praktis bercakap.
Okay.
Saya datang ke Jakarta hari ini, tak ada peluang untuk cakap bahasa. Okay, sudah habis. Sekarang bahasa Inggeris. Yeah, my name is Ramesh. I'm the head of the ACE. ACE stands for Action Community for Entrepreneurship. And my task today is to share, build on what Wesley said. Wesley's with EDB, they're like the higher command. They look at the whole economy of Singapore. ACE looks at the startup ecosystem, small, medium-sized enterprises, but specifically the startup space, the tech startup space. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm just going to give you a quick overview, and I'm sure there'll be questions, and I'll answer them during the Q&A. Okay? Okay. Okay, this is something we are proud to show in terms of where Singapore is, but just generally to get a sense of where we are, where the world is in terms of the startup ecospace. There's a survey done or study done by a respected consulting research firm called Startup Genome. They've listed 14 cities in the world that are considered startup champions. Out of those 14, 6 are in the United States, 4 are in Europe, 1 is Israel, and the 3 in Asia, one of which is Singapore. The other 2 is Beijing and Shanghai. And Singapore is the sole representative for ASEAN. So, it's, so this is just an indication. The thing with rankings is like a beauty contest. You and I can have this different points of view of beauty, but it gives us a snapshot of where things are right now. All right. So Singapore is ranked in this elite group, and we are progressing. So this is not where we want to rest. We want to progress further. You'd like to see some of our ASEAN brothers join us in this as well. Okay, can I? Okay, hold on.
Waiting there.
Can someone control? Can you go back to the last one? I'll just use it for pointer. Go back to the last slide, please. Okay, this is the launch pad. This is the Silicon Valley of Singapore. It all started from Block 71, where NUS Enterprise is located today. ACE is located in Block 79, and everyone who comes to this launchpad goes to the Ideation Center. That's a welcome center. So we host a lot of foreign delegations, we host a lot of other groups in Singapore, and this is where we are. I'm the head of the International Center, and we have just taken possession of the vacant premises from our landlord. So for us, ACE is banyak kecil lah, adik. Satu abang ada EDB, lagi satu abang ada JTC, our landlord, the biggest industrial landlord in Singapore. Alright, and they've given us some 4,000 square feet size premises in Block 67. Towards the end, I'll just show you some snapshot. The renovation has started. We now have 6, 7. Somebody was telling me, JTC was telling me we have 8 blocks. Overall, Launchpad is 90% occupied, or close to 90%. 75, 77, 81 came on stream earlier this year in March, and it's only 50% occupied. These are the new blocks. Actually, this was part of the way, Singapore, the industrial spaces we have. We don't have as much land as Indonesia, so we build up. So all these many of them are old flatted factories. So this one actually used to belong to JVC, but they're not there anymore. So it was taken over, refurbished, and now it's used as office in industrial premises. So similar with Block 67, 71, also they're old, but all being refurbished, all outside fresh coat of paint, inside startup culture, startup setup, depending on type of business you have. We have 800 startups now, okay? And once this comes on block, and once our ACE International goes full throttle, we will hit 1,000, I'm very sure, hopefully in the next 12 months. Diverse, 800 startups, incubators, accelerators, venture capitalists, corporate investors. Anyone who's interested to be in the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, is welcome. And many of them do have a presence over there. Various sectors are represented. And so this ACE International Center, just to be clear, ACE is a private entity that is non-profit. It was started in 2003 as an entity within Spring Singapore, another one of our abangs. But 3 years ago, they became privatized so that we could be more responsive, more directly engaged with the startup community, so we can provide for their needs, we can gather feedback, and we can channel it back to our government ministries and the statutory boards. Okay, and this and there are more than 4,000 workers in this space. 800 companies, or essentially startups, or part of the startup system. More than 400 people, and this is part of a bigger district or precinct called One North, which has got Biopolis, Fusionopolis, so the multinationals are there, companies who are more in the innovative space, in the biosciences, in the other engineering and physical sciences. They are part of the bigger neighborhood that we call One North. And it's just easy to know because there's MRT station right across from Block 79, it's called One North. And it's very close to some other important institutions. NUS is nearby, INSEAD, the business school is there, and other tertiary institutions are not very far away. From here, without traffic, you can get to the airport in 30 minutes. So right by the highway, so very convenient for ease of access. Next, please. Okay, so a bit more about ACE. Next. Okay, so I told you we started in 2003, we were privatized, but what does ACE really do? Really, as it says there, National Lead Organization to build a thriving and sustainable Singapore startup ecosystem. All right? And what does that mean? This sounds like a slogan. Yeah, but what do we actually do? I'll show you in detail, but essentially three things. Engage and support policy and voice, education and youth. This is also very important. We are very, very closely in touch with the tertiary institutions. And students come, we find jobs for them, SMEs, the startups are also recruiting, and we serve as a link point as well. I think all of you know, in Singapore, we're not even in Singapore, we're not a startup. Your old traditional business also cannot find people. Here, I'm sure the tech space also is challenging to find people. So we play a bit of a role in that for the startup space. Okay, so just to tell you know who our partners, Spring, JTC, IE Singapore, EDB, and A-Star. So A-Star does a lot of the high-end research, breakthrough research, including working with university and other foreign collaboration. So we work closely with them. Next, please. Okay, just a quick glance at leadership. Out of 6, okay, Mr. Dr. Koh Poh Koon, he's a Senior Minister of State, which is sort of like a junior cabinet minister in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And the 6 directors there, 4 of them are successful VC, have a VC background, serial entrepreneurship background. Okay, so we just don't do things like in terms of just executing orders and collecting information and just passing it up and down. We actually engage with the industry. We have leadership in our board who are from the industry. And while I'm here in Indonesia, I'm meeting a few people, and through some connections through Mr. Dr. Mark Horn, who's our chairman, he told me to contact one entity in Singapore, and through them I have 3 appointments in the 2 days I'm here. So these are people who are valuable to our ecosystem. We have advisors who are from the public sector, private sector, who have a lot of expertise to contribute, and we draw on them. Next, please. Okay, so these are specific things we do. Mentoring sessions, events, workshop, access, forums, workspace, dialogue, events, entrepreneur learning. Because it's not just a place for co-working, that's one part of it. But what are the other things we do? The programs, we have learning sessions, we bring in speakers, we bring in, and many of them are doing it pro bono. Of course, we have programs that are commercially run as well. And we have corporate sponsors, like Microsoft runs at least one program a month. We have other people in the ecosystem, like from the accounting firms. InCorp is actually a partner to ACE as well. So they'll be helping us run workshops in terms of how to structure your company, how to go to a new market. So we have this kind of ecosystem where everybody supports one another. So end of the day, the value proposition is it must benefit our SME members because we want them to succeed. That's the message here. That's what ACE is there to do. Next. Okay, this is just a collage of photos of of different activities. Ministers visiting, trade delegations visiting, provincial governments visiting, and sharing sessions. Okay, I believe ACE members went on a visit to Silicon Valley last year. So there are some Singaporeans in Silicon Valley, so with that connection, all networks, we have a Silicon Valley chapter for ACE. And during that session, they actually got together, have a panel discussion on the ecosystem and where things are going and opportunities. I hope someday soon we will have an ACE chapter in Jakarta, and we would like that to proliferate so that we can build stronger networks. Next, please. Yeah, policy and voice. So you may not see very clearly, but here is Mr. Ishwaran, our Minister of Trade and Industry. We're trying to get hold of him for our opening. I'll talk about that in a bit. There's Mr. Koh Poh Koon, Vivian Balakrishnan, our Foreign Minister, who was formerly the patron of ACE some time back, and Mr. Chan Chun Sing, he's the Minister in the Prime Minister's Office. So, ministers, political leaders, they do take the time to listen to us to come down for important events. So when we talk about being engaged and having close conversations. This is what we mean. And when they come, they want to speak to the startup themselves to find out firsthand what's working, what's not working, what they can do better. Next, please. Yeah, so education and youth, we have the things that you always expect them to have, visits, hackathons, those the various competitions. So we reach out to the institutions of higher learning, and like I said, because they are potentially a stream of future workers who can join this sector, as well as also getting to the access to the brains and the talent of the academic staff in terms of research and other ideas of commercializing ideas. Just to let you know, 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, because it's a school holidays now in Singapore, so one of the student organizations is called EDGE. They invited 3 students from 3 different universities and polytechnics to Singapore, and I spoke to them, giving them a similar talk about the startup system. One was from Vietnam, one was from Thailand, one was from Indonesia. So even at this level, we are internationalizing and reaching out because we feel it's never too early. Next. Yeah, so the talent program is just that, getting talent into the startups. And this is actually a scheme. So internships, HR so interns is doing their break, or as part of the academic learning, because these days the education philosophies also change. Singapore is trying to say we cannot just go by exam grades alone. We need our students to have practical experience. So that's where internships come in, and we try to find internship spots for the students with our startups. HR capability there's a scheme in Singapore now whereby the small, medium-sized startups who are in the tech space can actually hire new staff and get subsidy. For example, I think the scheme ratio now is 70-30. If the person's pay is $1,000 a month, the company pays $300, the government will pick up the bill for $700. Okay, so they have, of course, not for forever, it's just at the initial stage. So even in the HR capability, HR development side, the government is helping and contributing. Next, please. Unfortunately, your black and white, your color is not so kilat, but this is my favorite diagram. This is, in English, I call it my Galileo diagram, but for you, I call the Matahari diagram. The Matahari, because ACE is the Matahari here. We are the center of the Singapore startup ecosystem. It looks a lot of little details. Actually, the details are very little. I mean, there's so many of them, but there's a meaning to all this. Here is ACE. This is the ecosystem. To the left are the government agencies. Here are the institutions of higher learning. So the 6 universities that we have are there. 5 polytechnics and Institute of Technical Education is here. Then we have the VCs, accelerators, incubators, corporates. So this is the inner core. Outside, we actually have clustered it by different categories, but for example, I think MedTech is here, or MedTech is there, I can't see from here. Okay, so we clustered it by different, so some of it is digital media, some is MedTech, some is clean tech. They've all been arranged in nice quadrants, but this is like the layers of the onion. The inner, so outside the heart, this is the heart shape, right? Out the innermost layer are those who have obtained seed funding. The next layer, those who have attained A funding. Outside that is B funding, and the extreme edges are those who have exited successfully. Okay, so this one diagram, this one graphic just summarizes what ACE is doing, and ACE is really in the heart of the startup ecosystem in Singapore. Okay, next please. Okay, now about International Center, which is what I'm heading. Extending from the core function of ACE is a mandate to internationalize the startup space in 2 broad ways. One is get Singapore startups to go abroad. As you know very well, 5.6 million people is a very small market. But depending on your business model and technology enablers, the world is your market. But startups need help in terms of navigating the different territories. So international standards could help them in that regard. The other thing we want to do is invite foreign startups, foreign players, anyone. You don't be a startup per se, you can be a service provider in the startup ecosystem. We welcome you to Singapore. And by being there, not only will we offer you, depending on what kind of package you take, a startup space, co-working space in our office, but also you can have access to all the programming, access to networks, and then be part of the community in Singapore. All right? So this is what we're looking to do. And part of my visit here also is to meet certain players in the ecosystem, whether they're VCs or otherwise, and see how we can collaborate with them and welcome them to Singapore. Next. So we have some MOUs, but very, very few, only 7. Because this has only started, our journey to internationalize seriously has only started a few months ago. So if I were to come back again next year, I am quite sure we'll have at least twice as much. We want to have a lot more relationships with different countries. It's not just for the sake of filling the maps, so that when our startups want to go to Silicon Valley or they want to go to Japan, we will contact our counterparts there and tell them, look, we are bringing some SMEs over, or we're going on a business trip, like, sort of like a fact-finding trip. Can you host us and introduce the right to the appropriate companies, and vice versa. So this is something we are doing, and like I said, just in the few months I've been at ACE, I've just seen so many delegations come and go. It's quite exciting. So this one, we'll be having a lot more things happening. Next one, please. Okay, just a bit of advertisement. So our premises is being renovated right now. You all have seen co-working spaces here. So, it'll be like a co-working space. So this is some of the things we're going to have. It's about 4,000 square feet. Next. Yeah, this is more pictures. Right, next one. Okay, why Singapore? I think Wesley has already told you about what Singapore has to offer. Atin will tell you a bit more at the micro level, the nitty-gritty. But Singapore and Indonesia we always had close relations. We are next to each other. The whole ASEAN landscape is changing very, very fast. So Singapore has always played a commercial role, even a cultural role, whether it's maritime, whether it's aviation. Now it's the digital age. We also are a digital hub. And it's an easy place to do business. Many of you would have, I guess, living here would have been to Singapore, you know that. One thing very important we're paying a lot of attention to is the intellectual property development, because you really want to make an impact. Depending on what business you're in, what the business model is all about, you really want to protect your intangible asset, which is your intellectual property. And I think I've already given you a very quick overview of the startups ecosystem in Singapore. And the Singapore government is very supportive for some of the initiatives, including getting foreign startups to come to Singapore, and the tax aspects. Next slide, I think the last one. Okay, this is me and my colleague. You can contact us, Michelle. Next. Next one. Okay, I'm just going to leave it here. The Singapore government has had a lot of schemes, and they decided to actually review everything and consolidate, and then they came up with a banner called Startup SG. And under that Startup SG, they have a very specific type of help or support for different type of startup needs. ACE, I'll be able to share this more with you maybe after the presentation or maybe after the Q&A. But ACE actually works at a very early stage. Actually, ACE while we bring the whole ecosystem together, our direct intervention or direct help is really at the founder level. People who are starting, especially Singaporeans who are starting startups for the first time. But the scheme doesn't end there. You also have like the equity where the government will co-invest, and then there's the talent, the HR part, and also the tech. We really are the tech space, deep tech, other kind of technology. Some of those investments, the Singapore government will co-invest with you. There are details to that. I'll be happy to share more information if you have questions on those later on. All right, so that's all I have on you. Thank you very much.